tervetuloa kaikki tänne Rosebudiin. Welcome everybody to Rosebud Bookshop. We will be speaking Finnish and English, and welcome Taciana Niadbaj. And I'm Iida Simes, a journalist and also a member of PEN. This event is hosted both by Rosebud and of course by Finnish PEN. Sananvapausjärjestö PEN on mukana tässä ja sovittiin, että mä puhun alkuun muutaman sanan suomen kieltä, koska puhumme Svetlana Aleksijevitšin kirjallisuudesta, jota täällä on suomennettuna. PENillä on semmoinen perinne, että aina kun joku ei pääse paikalle, meillä on tyhjä tuoli. Nyt on kokonainen tyhjä sohva. So the empty chair, a person who cannot be here, unfortunately, is Taciana Andreeva from Belarus, and she's imprisoned in Belarus. Eli nyt tämä teemavanki on Taciana Andreeva, joka toivottavasti on vielä hengissä. Could you say a few words about Mrs. Andreeva?
Taciana Andreeva is a writer and journalist, and she should be released because her first imprisonment was ended several years ago. But she was accused. She got new sentence. She had new trial. And now she is on the list of extremists, and also her husband, who was her representative, who was sharing information about her. He's also detained and also in prison. He's also a journalist, and they are authors of book about Donbass. And Katerina also write it, and I hope she has this possibility, poems. So this is short information.
Has she been in contact?
There is a problem. We have several people in incommunicado status. For example, my friend, writer and lawyer Maxim Znak. I'm in T-shirt with his image, with his photo. And yesterday we also had empty chair for Maxim Znak. I will tell you a few words because this we can speak about others on the background of his situation. Maxim Znak is incommunicado status since February 9, 2023, so we don't have any information about him. As well as, for example, Sergei Tikhanovsky, husband of Svetlana Tikhanovskaya, one of the candidates on presidential elections, Viktor Babaryka, Maria Kolesnikova, and others, Mikhail Statkevich and others. And when we're talking about this incommunicado status, because it's now 2025, we are talking also about forced disappearance, which is crime against humanity, and this is recognized as a crime against humanity. But of course, this is the most heavy, the most hard situations with political prisoners. But we have more than 100 political prisoners who are recognized officially, I mean by Human Rights Center Vesna and other human rights organizations. But we, as a PEN Belarus, we also use the word at least one. At least, because, or minimum, because we understand and we are aware that we don't know everything, that there is no information, there is no full information, there is no approach to information, access to information. And I think that a lot of information will be open when situation will change. But as for now, even those who are not in incommunicado status, they have serious problems with access. We, as a human rights organizations, as human rights defenders, have not enough information about their health condition, about their situation in prison. We know that they are labeled, all political prisoners, even those who are not recognized by human rights organizations as political prisoners, but who was detained and who was accused in extremists crimes, because all disloyal things in Belarus are recognized as extremists by the law, Belarusian law. and they have labels, yellow labels, that they are extremists in the prison. They also have problems with communication, so they are in very hard, inhuman conditions in prison. Often they are in the punishment cells inside prison, and this is like prison inside prison. It's very, for example, Maxim Znak, when he was...
Do you mean solitary confinement?
Solitary confinement also, but there is another also forms. There are another forms, but when, for example, we are talking about people who are in this solitary confinement, they also are deprived of reading, writing, and having any personal belongings. You can imagine that you are only you and a wall, and this is all you have for several days, for 15 days. And then you can be released from this confinement and put in the one day again, because to have this formal releasing not more than 15 days, so, and being back in this for another 15 days, and it can be like endless. Of course, this torture, and you understand that it's not only torturing about against your body, against your physical condition, but also about your psychological condition. They try to break you, to make you weak, to make you controlled person, and so even if Katerina Andreeva is not in incommunicado status, what I want to say, because why I am telling about Maxim Znak while we are having Katerina Andreeva, to show you that while even if she doesn't have this incommunicado status, we don't have enough information about her situation, because political prisoners can receive letters only from their relatives who are mentioned in their personal cases as their relatives. Because in 2020 and 2021 we had huge waves of solidarity. First political prisoners who were detained in 2020 and 2021 got a lot of letters, supporting letters, and it was really important for them. It was solidarity. They felt this as a support, so it was important. So now regime do everything to cut this solidarity, to cut them, and to say them that you are forgotten, nobody remembers about you, nobody cares about you, and so on and so on. And if, for example, someone doesn't have relatives, so no one can send him packages, no one can send him letters to support. And what I want to say that Katerina Andreeva is also, we don't have enough information about her health condition, and even if her relatives do have this information, they can't share it with independent media, because independent media are recognized as extremist information, with human rights organizations, because human rights organizations are also recognized by Belarusian law as extremist formations, and every contact with these organizations can be reason for criminal case against you.
Let me interrupt you for a moment. Let's go deeply into the political situation of Belarus soon. I will just say a few words about this in Finnish, because I know there's a bunch of people watching the stream. Eli hän aloitti siis selittämällä poliittisista vangeista, ja koska kunnioitamme poliittisia vankeja ja ennen kaikkea siis vangittuja, PEN on sananvapausjärjestö, vangittuja kirjailijoita ja journalisteja, oli tärkeää aloittaa tästä aiheesta. Ja eilen journalistien tilaisuudessa Merkkimuseossa tämä tyhjä tuoli oli juristi ja runoilija, kirjailija Maxim Znak, siksi hän puhui myös tästä henkilöstä. Mutta tosiaan vangittuja ihmisiä kidutetaan ja he ei pääse tapaamaan sukulaisia, ja kaikkien näiden poliittisten vankien, jotka on siis protestoinut hallintoa vastaan, niin me ei tiedetä, ovatko he elossa. Eli joillekin voidaan lähetellä kirjeitä ja joitain mahdollisesti sieltä vankilasta ei koskaan sitten pääse pois. I will reveal now an extremely detailed manuscript I have for this discussion, and so we will now go through a little bit about recent years in Belarus, and also you can explain why you are in Warsaw, the whole PEN, the whole freedom of speech organization works from Warsaw. It's impossible for them to work in Belarus. Then we will talk a little bit about Svetlana Aleksijevitš, because this is a bookshop and she's a famous Belarusian novelist. She's not in Belarus either. She's in Berlin. And we both have met her a couple of times. And last, we will finish by thinking whether there is any hope and where does the hope lie. And just tiny bit before we go there, we will talk about nuclear weapons, because that's also something we have many books here about. It's very important for us. But anyway, I don't think there is a person in Finland who could think that Lukashenko is the real leader of Belarus. Everybody in Finland knows that there was mutiny. Hundreds of thousands of people went to the streets of Minsk in 2020 because there were totally falsified elections, and the de facto leader is Svetlana Tsikhanouskaya, who was not originally a candidate in these elections. It was her husband Sergei Tsikhanouskaya who is imprisoned and one of these political prisoners. Tsikhanouskaya now works from Vilnius, Lithuania. So were you there then already? Still then, still there, or did you have to go? What was your situation at the time of the protests in 2020?
Yeah, I should mention that I already was living in Poland for 9 years, since 2006 till 2015. In 2006, I was detained and I had administrative arrest for participating in peaceful protests against falsifications at elections in 2006. And also Maxim Znak was detained in those times. It was his first arrest, administrative. 5 days, just 5 days. It's nothing comparing to nowadays situation. But I had my 5th year of my studies, and I finished it because not all detained protesters could finish their studies because they were excluded from universities. But I managed. I was lucky to finish. It's our head of our department didn't repress us and give us visibility to finish. But after that, I wanted to have PhD studies, and I was told that I couldn't have it in Belarus. So I went to Lublin, to Poland, and then I have my 5 years of PhD studies and defend my thesis. And then I started to work in media organization. Today is Media Freedom Day. I should mention this, Press Club Belarus, which in 2015, with this project of Press Club Belarus, it is helping to independent journalists to develop their professional skills, to improve their work, and and advocates as a Belarusian Association of Journalists, another organization, human rights organization, which is dealing with journalists, with media. So with this project, Press Club Belarus, I moved to Minsk in 2015, and I was happy to be in my town, to be in my country, and to work on human rights issues there. Then in 2017, I joined PEN Belarus and became a president of PEN Belarus. And in 2000, I was supposed to be in Belarus. I was supposed to be in prison. I was ready to be in prison. I had my bag with all necessary things for first time in prison.
And your cat? Where did you leave your cat?
Yes. So yes, I was made my testament. I made power of attorney to my friends to make them cover all issues because was sure that I will be in prison earlier or later. But of course, I have my ongoing work, and sometimes I had my walking visits somewhere. And in July 2021, I was in Warsaw. And in those days, Ales Bialyacki and his colleagues and a lot of people were detained because it was a raid, like it was a huge searches, arrests, detentions, and many people were detained then. It was 2 days, 14 and 15 July in 2021. So I stayed in Warsaw. I thought there then I will stay for several weeks, then for several months. Then we were hoping to be back in Belarus soon because we were hoping the situation will change soon. Yes, and in August 9th, it was exactly on anniversary of presidential elections. Supreme Court liquidated PEN Belarus as an NGO in Belarus. We were one of the first organizations which were liquidated by Supreme Court. And then I understood that we should register organization in Poland and to continue move our team to Poland, and because we still have people in Belarus. We have membership. We are members organization. So more or less half of our members, we have around 100 members, are still in Belarus. Of course, not all of them can be publicly members of PEN Belarus, so we hide the membership, we hide the information who are our members, who not. Only those who are abroad can openly speak that they are PEN members, and not everyone, because sometimes people have relatives in Belarus and they're afraid even being abroad, because we have a lot of cases when authorities yes, they are not elected authorities, but they are real authorities, de facto authorities in Belarus. They persecute relatives, mothers, fathers in old age, or children, for example, taken out of the family. They have their possibilities to persecute relatives, and they do this. Mainly it is with political leaders, with those who are participating from the Ukrainian side in the war, also with journalists, but we have a lot of cases of persecution.
Yeah, let's go back a little bit with the timeline, because that's so very important. In 2020, that was in summer, you had the elections when Lukashenko probably, because these are not official, probably he got about 35% of the votes. And Svetlana Aleksijevitšista, who, like I said, had only few months or something like that time to campaign, because her husband Sergei Tsihanovsky had been imprisoned, she got vast majority, more than 50%, probably 65.
65, yes, probably.
Yeah, that's the estimation. But Lukashenko ignored that result totally and said soon afterwards that he was the overall winner of the elections. And what happened was that hundreds of thousands of people went to the streets. Even Svetlana Aleksijevitš tried to go to the street, but her friends said that it's not really safe because it was really wild soon after. And later on, police started shooting the demonstrators. So actually not all of the demonstrators were imprisoned or anything. Many of them were injured or even dead at that time. Anyway, when Russia started its full-scale invasion to Ukraine in the war Russia started in 2014, that happened, the full-scale invasion started on the 24th of February in 2022. Ukrainians ever since have been kind of bitter to Russians, because this is what many Ukrainians say, that Russians they are not doing any kind of revolution. They could do something to Kremlin. They could fight back, but they are not doing that. I don't know whether this is fair or not. I'm just saying what I have heard many times. But you guys, Belarusians, you went to the streets. You did fight. And still you are now being sanctioned by the Western world, EU and everything. How do you feel about that?
It's a very tricky question about sanctions. I think that European countries, it's their right to have or not to have sanctions. In my opinion, it doesn't work because it's 2025 and it doesn't work good enough, I would say. It's of course it's harmful for Belarusian economy and for authorities, but it doesn't work good enough. Because now we have more than 1,000 political prisoners, and we have every day new ones. There are new detentions, new arrests. Nobel Peace Prize laureate Ales Bialiatski, great human rights defender, creator of PEN Belarus member, and the founder of Human Rights Center Vesna. He's also behind bars, and he also has troubles with getting packages, with getting letters, even from relatives. So this is what we have for now. We have tortures. This is part of Europe. I don't want to say that in other parts of the world there is okay to have tortures and like inhuman conditions, but this is Europe. And I have never when we had information about tortures and about violence toward protesters in 2020, I thought that we, talking about Svetlana Aleksijevitš, that we didn't learn lessons from her books, because she wrote about such cruel situations which will happen during World War II. And during war in Afghanistan. Now we have like 21st century. We are part of Europe. In terms of values, Belarus, in terms of history and culture, Belarus is a part of Europe. And we have such situation and nobody can do anything. So people are still in inhuman conditions and there are crimes against humanity, and Lukashenko is like, yes. But
just quickly into this, how important this oppression has been. It's not only for Lukashenko, who wants to remain as a dictator of Belarus, and like you said, in the middle of Europe this is happening. So anyway, but it's also that Belarus is huge platform for war organized by Putin. So is the real oppressor Lukashenko or Putin, Kremlin?
I should mention one important thing, that I think that I'm sure that what was happening with civil society after 2020, with human rights defenders, with independent journalists, and with all activists who were or put into the prison or forced to leave Belarus. It was cleaning the territory. It was part of preparing the Belarus territory to attack Ukraine, because to make the situation where nobody can protest. And what we have now, that repression are still on the high level, and now remember in 2020, world was excited about Belarus. We were high on the agenda. Now we have not better situation, but we are in the shadow of all information, about Ukraine, about Gaza and Trump and so on and so on. And this is, but the situation doesn't change to the better. And I think that what I want to say, that civil society was destroyed inside Belarus. I don't want to say that we don't have any oppression from Belarusians to the situation. Of course, a lot of activities are underground, not in a public space, and this can create an illusion that everything is dead inside Belarus, that everybody is agree. It's not such situation. And when the war began, full-scale invasion began, we also had protests in Belarus, and people still are persecuted not for having only this, for example, bracelets or flags, because it's colors of our national flag.
Yeah, I will say that tuo on siis vapaan Valko-Venäjän lippu. That's the flag of free Belarus. That's not the official flag. It's very important for Belarusians.
Yes, but also with colors of Ukrainian flag, blue and yellow. And we had also railway partisans who destroyed railways to make not possibility to go these military trains to Ukraine. They were detained also in very cruel way. Their knees were like, I don't know how to say it's in English, that they were also tortured in broken knees, shooted into knees.
Oh, they shot them.
They because it was, they tried to do everything to stop it, to make the illusion that Belarus is silent and doesn't have any protesters anymore. So we have also persecution not only against Belarusian culture, which is very important for us, but also against Polish culture of Polish and Lithuanian minorities, because Poland and Lithuania stand with Belarus. With democratic Belarus, because Svetlana Aleksijevitšista is working from Lithuania, and Poland did a lot helping Belarusians who were forced to move Belarus in legalization in Poland. So, and helping supporting democratic forces also. So Polish and Lithuanian language and culture were also repressed and are repressed in Belarus. Unfortunately, not only Belarusian, but Polish and Lithuanian cultures have their states, and they have their metropolis and possibilities to save and to develop culture. Maybe not in Belarus as for now, but we as Belarusians, we don't have our state to protect, to develop, to save our culture. And this is not only for this recent few years. It's also for hundreds of years of resisting, of trying to save our culture.
I just checked out the CIA fact book, which I, for some really weird reason, trust a lot. And I get here the population of Belarus is still 9,500,000 people. And it's a big country. And like every Belarusian has said, it's a beautiful country, forests and water, lakes, everything. And also you have, or Belarusian borders have been famous because that's part of the hybrid war. Like everybody knows who have seen the latest films, Agnieszka Holland film, Green Border, about the Belarusian border. There have been operations when Russia has, organization, it has probably been organized by Russia. But anyway, it has happened through Belarusian border that there have been number of refugees who have been sort of dropped over to the Polish side. And this is serving many causes. It's also to be starting conflict between Poland and Belarus, because the main idea in these kinds of operations is not just to make things difficult in Belarus, but also to make sure that it doesn't have allies in foreign countries, not even outside its borders. What do you think about this? How do you feel about this in Poland? You live in Poland.
Yes, of course. I understand that for Poland, Belarusians are good migrants. We have a privilege. Unfortunately, I'm ashamed a little bit about this privilege, but we had privilege because we are from close culture. We have from white migrants with understanding Polish language and understanding culture, and we have huge history shared with Poland. So it's our common history, and. Of course, in situation when Poland needs people to work in Poland, we are good migrants. But yes, migrants is a very painful issue for Poland authorities. This they are a part of this hybrid war, and of course they brought a lot of misunderstandings or conflicts in Polish politics, which is because politicians sometimes they are not to have these migrants because of another culture, because of this xenophobia also, because of but they are still people. They are still have a right to have a better life, to have a safer life. So it's for me, it's understandable that they are not should be punished for politicians, for Lukashenko or Putin who put it there.
But in Poland, they managed to sort of fight back politically, because Poland was going towards a very tight regime with narrower and narrower civil rights. But actually, it didn't happen. This is my best wishes to all the fascists and wannabe fascists. You do not win all the time. It's not that there is an open highway with all the populism and what's going on in the US. There have been good developments.
So yes, there are some law changes also, and I don't know, frankly speaking, don't know situation as for today, how it is with this law, but they tried to, I don't know if it was accepted, it was signed, this law about more about harder conditions, about harder conditions in receiving migrants in Belarus, because it can't be like those migrants are good. They can't write it in a law that these migrants are good and these are not good. So I don't know how they will like solve the situation. But the good thing about Poland that yes, but and public space in Poland it's also I think harmed by Russian hybrid efforts. They try to use all possibilities to conflict people, to divide people, and we see the results of this. But the good thing about Poland that there are presidential elections, and authorities sometimes changed. So we will have we as a Poland we will have May 18 presidential elections, and we will see how it will be and what society is wanting about like further politics, about values also, because also this
yeah, exactly. And I don't mean that it's time for those people fighting for democracy, it's time for them to take a nap. No, you have to be on guard all the time.
They still have courts. They still have like judges, not controlled by authorities. So I think that good sense will win, and human rights, of course.
I hope so. I hope so. And well, we have seen examples that there might be backlash, which is positive one, not all the time negative ones. Let's talk about Svetlana Aleksijevitš a little bit now. This is the cover of Voima, and I just say that this magazine is available in the internet. Tän voi lukea netissä. Mulla on nimittäin vain tämä yksi kappale tätä lehteä täällä mukana, kun tämä on vuoden 2024 syksyn numero, mutta löytyy kun googlettaa tai hakukonetta käyttäen Svetlana Aleksijevitš, Voima, Iida Simes. Se on siis minä. Olin tapaamassa häntä viime elokuussa, ja täällä on sitten tämä juttu, missä hän puhuu ihmisoikeuksista, kirjallisuudestaan tietysti ja politiikasta, ja miten paljon hän toivoo, että äärioikeisto ei voittaisi. So, I went to see Svetlana Aleksijevitš in Berlin in the beginning of August. Then I wrote that, and then I met you, and I took a photo of you in Oxford, England, and I gave you some of these magazines, and you went to see Svetlana Aleksijevitš a few weeks after that.
Yes, Svetlana Aleksijevitš was forced to move out of Belarus in the beginning of October in 2021 because of security reasons, and she is in Berlin now, but she is very interested in Belarusian situation. She is always asking how it is, and she is also helping a lot repressed people. It's not, of course, public activity. She is not like she doesn't have PR activities about this helping, but I know that she's helping a lot for those who released to families of those who are in prison still. And she's PEN Belarus member. Actually, we have two Nobel Prize laureates, Svetlana Aleksijevitš, who is abroad now, and Svetlana Aleksijevitš Literary Prize, Nobel Prize, and Alice Belyatsky is Nobel Peace Prize laureate, who is in prison now. And yes, she is also in close contact with us as a PEN Belarus, and I hope we will have in the end of May open meeting with her in Warsaw. I hope health conditions will let you her possibility to come and to participate. Yes, and she's great, of course, and she's writing now a book about ongoing situation in Belarus, about protests, about war also, and she is meeting a lot of people who he's speaking with to get information from them, to get their feelings, to get their understanding of situation, and I'm awaiting this book and a lot.
I will just explain about these books we have over here. I think it should be all of them translated, but I'm not sure. Tässä on Sinkkipojat, joka kertoo Afganistanin sodasta, ja tämä nimi tulee siitä, että nämä pojat tulee sitten siellä arkussa takaisin. Sitten tässä on Neuvostoihmisen loppu, jossa Aleksijevitš luotasi koko Neuvostoliittoa ja sen semmoisia tyrmäävimpiä väärinkäytöksiä. Mä en sanoisi, että ne on välttämättä rikoksia, koska nehän olivat sille systeemille aivan laillisia juttuja, mutta semmoisia hyvin omituisia asioita, että ihmiset, about the end of the Homo Sovieticus book, would you say, Taciana, that it's about like how people even when it's 1990s and the Soviet Union has collapsed, the people are in the imprisonment they have built themselves, meaning that they have been believing everything they have been told. It has many symbolical meanings, but you can say later, I will ask you that what does Svetlana Aleksijevitš and her literature mean to Belarusians, but I will continue. Tšernobylistä nousee rukous on tietenkin kirja tästä Tšernobylin onnettomuudesta, joka tapahtui siis 26.4.1986 kello 1.23.40 keskellä yötä, ja mikä valtava operaatio se oli. Samaan aikaan puhdistetaan aluetta, ei sitä voi oikein puhdistaa, siis maata kärrätään, mihin kärrätään, ja palomiehiä kuolee ja nuoria sotilaita värvätään palomiehiksi ja ambulanssikuskeiksi. Ja kuitenkin siitä huolimatta ihmiset yrittää sitten pikkuhiljaa, kun Aleksijevitš on heitä haastatellut, pysyä jotenkin järjissään ja muistaa sitä aikaa. Ja vielä vuosienkaan kuluttua, kun Aleksijevitš näitä haastatteluja teki, niin ihmiset eivät täysin ymmärrä, mitä siellä tapahtui. Ja tuolla on vielä Sodalla ei ole naisen kasvoja, joka on hänen ensimmäisensä. Hän kirjoitti sen jo 80-luvulla, ja se kertoo naisista toisessa maailmansodassa, Neuvostoliiton puna-armeijan naisista tai naisista, jotka ovat menettäneet rakkaimpansa, eli niistä naisista, jotka pitävät kyliä pystyssä. In all these books there are certain themes, but one theme which goes from one book to another in Svetlana Aleksijevitš's literature is also how bizarre it is that even after years have gone, they don't still know what has happened. What happened? Where did my daughter go, my little girl, my little boy after Chernobyl? They just remember that how weak she was, and they try to stay sane, and they are maybe not sane. In the book about the Second World War, it's women saying that we are the whole village. We don't have any men because all the men died, or maybe they were imprisoned or something like that. So it's about this really dark and bizarre Soviet reality, which even in the book like this you think that it must be partly fiction, but it's not. But what would you say?
I think that Svetlana Aleksijevich writes about person in a critical condition, in a critical situation. So that's why, and she is, she's talking that in these situations, when a person in a critical situation, a person can be another. It can be like higher than she or he is, her narration was also alternative toward official narration, and it's also very important to see this not heroic part of life, because when state tries to make all in heroic narrative, you don't have your own life. You should be like a part of state policy, of politics, and you should go, for example, to the war and to kill other people and to sacrifice your life to the state. And Svetlana Aleksijevich shows the other side of this, the human side. And I think that this is extremely important in our situation, to see a human in all situation. And what we have now, we have also this critical situation when human has any cost for state, for authorities. That human can be at the border as a migrant, for example, used as a weapon, or be in prison and be a biological, a meat, a biological something which is not human. They just treat a person in this way, try to make a thing, not a person. And Svetlana Aleksijevich shows this another side, and how this heroic or large-scale history reflects on person, and how they understand and see this.
And she has also said in many of her books and writings, she has said that war doesn't have any heroes. There are no heroes in the war. There are only everybody who fights in a war loses somehow. Even when they think they win, they lose. So what do you think?
I think that there are heroes, but it's not fair to force people to be heroes when someone doesn't want to be a hero. Because I think that it's part of European values to feel the cost of your personality, to feel the cost of your life, of your important things, and not replace these things by what the state want you to have.
One thing Aleksijevich said to me when we met, and it's also in the story, this Voima story, is that she went to talk about television a great length. She was really worried about Russia and Russians, the state of mind of current people of Russia. Of course, she understands there are opposition people, maybe escaped or imprisoned, and there are dissidents, but still, she was saying that she doesn't trust Russians anymore because she has watched a lot of Russian television, and she absolutely hated that, and she couldn't understand, or she could understand why people sent their young boys to fight in Ukraine, but still she was saying that this television, and meaning the propaganda manufactured by Kremlin. It's totally ruining people. Yesterday, Taciana, you said to me that what Russia has tried to do, especially in Belarus, is to take the Belarusian culture and put some really, how would I say, well, Russian culture, of course, instead, but maybe it's not even real Russian culture. Maybe it's some kind of a weird thing they do nowadays. At least it's very military country where even little kids are being taught at school military values and so on and so on. But anyway, what Russia wants to do there is to remove Belarusian things and put something instead.
Yes, because when we're talking about culture, it's not, of course, not only about festivals, for example, concerts or theater, cinema. It's also about values, and it's also about understanding who we are, about our identity, about choices we are making during elections, and so on. And when we're talking about Russian culture, I'm talking about Russian world, which contains of propaganda, fake news, justification of war, and such things. And I mentioned before that Belarusian culture is a part of European culture historically, and in terms of values, it's one thing that we should have a right to have our culture. I should have a right to speak Belarusian in Belarus. When I was a teenager and I am from Russian-speaking family, I would say from Soviet family, and Belarusian, I learned it in school, and I tried to speak Belarusian in the shop when I was a teenager, and I was talk normally, please, speak normally, please. It's about being unnormal in Belarus. I'm from small town from Belarus, but small town, but the oldest town in Belarus. In 2020, when we had protests, peaceful protests, those who were speaking Belarusian and those who were detained, they were beaten and tortured more than Russian-speaking protesters. Authorities feel that Belarusian culture is disloyal to this, to them, to the ongoing situation, to dictatorship, because Belarusian culture.
And it yes. Probably is.
Yes,
that's
of
the
course,
whole
of
point.
Course, because
yes,
because as I mentioned, it's not about like. It's about values. It's about that Belarusian culture is natural. Democracy is natural for Belarusian culture. And what I was going to say that
it's not just language. It's music. It's poetry. You are a poet. It's theater. It's many kinds of things.
Yes, and of course we should have a right to have our culture, to save it. And I mentioned that it's not only this. I mentioned yesterday that we have Iliad by Homer translated into Belarusian and published for the first time in Belarusian language. It was in last year. But actually the full translation of Iliad has been done 100 years ago. But the translator was killed in the prison, and this manuscript was confiscated.
Because he translated that?
No, because of other things. Because he was Belarusian nationalist. Because he was disagree with politics in those times. So it's like a long history. But it was the translation of Iliad. It's not political. It's like Iliad, it's antique thing. It's not about ongoing situation 100 years ago and now, but this was confiscated, and we have never seen the full translation. Maybe it is still in archives somewhere, which are closed, maybe in Moscow, or maybe it was destroyed. We don't know. It was 100 years ago. Now,
so, let me just. Yes,
I think I want to say that it's like hundreds of years of resisting and surviving.
Yeah, just to make sure that everybody understood. Siis Homeroksen Ilias, eli Ilias ja Odyssei se Ilias osa eka, se on siis vanha kreikkalainen eepos, mutta jo tämän kääntämisestä Valko-Venäjän kielelle, omalle kielelle, voi joutua vankilaan, koska siis se kieli on, tai siis vallanpitäjät, Lukašenkan hallinto ja Venäjä pitää sitä poliittisena manifestina, että edes kreikkalaista eposta ei saisi kääntää Valko-Venäjän kielelle, vaan silloin on syyllistynyt johonkin rikokseen. Lopetellaan kohta, mutta ihan loppuun täytyy nyt sitä toivoa saada. Okay, we have talked good over 45 minutes and we are going to slow it down or finish it completely. But anyway, I promised in the beginning that there must be hope somewhere. Where is the hope? Is there free internet? Is there young people, younger generation who do not tolerate Lukashenko? What do you think? Or will it just happen that eventually someday the crimes of Lukashenko and Kremlin will just fade away and new day will dawn? Or where is it? What is the beautiful sunbeam here?
I mentioned also yesterday that I don't see any good perspective as for now, but it doesn't mean that I gave up, but every day I wake up and do my best to change the situation, because my friends are in prison and because other people are in prison, because it's something which I can't accept, what is in Belarus now. And I think that only our efforts, yes, and of course your solidarity is important for us, because of Trump decisions to stop aid for human rights issues, for LGBTQ issues, and for independent media in Belarus suffered a lot from this U.S. funding freeze, and actually U.S. funding stop, not freeze, but stop. Let's see the real situation. And my appeal to you, thank you for your solidarity, and please don't leave us alone in this situation, because we need allies, we need you, and with your help, with your support, we can do more. And yeah, you can also see about PEN Belarus. We have some brochures here about our activities. We can't share all information what we are doing because of security issues, but we do a lot trying to support repressed culture figures who we have now 136 as for now. We have culture figures behind bars, and your input can be really important in helping us to struggle with the situation, to do our work, and to continue helping repressed people.
And not everybody can see this, but you are wearing a T-shirt. Is it Maxim Znak? Yes. Yes, it is. Yesterday you had...
Alice Beletsky.
Oh, yeah. So anyway, you are... We hear you and we see you. And the website is www.penbelarus.org ending. So please go and check out their website. Thank you so much.
One more thing, yes, because we were talking about sanctions, and I forgot one important thing. I think should be personal sanctions toward those who commit crimes, and those also those who were taking part in falsifications in 2020 and later. So I am for personal sanctions, but I think that this sanctions against country are not so effective.
Yeah, well,
Just to
they
correct
don't hit
myself.
the big oligarchs necessarily, not at all. But thank you so much, Taciana Niadbaj, and kiitos yleisölle.
Kiitos, and thank you so much for Finnish Suomen PEN for inviting me here, and thank you so much for being here, for hearing me, and for your solidarity as well.
Kiitos paljon.